In this video, I'm going to talk about the difference between process management and project management. While the two have some overlap, they're distinctly different things, and they each require a different approach to optimize and to implement at the highest level. And both of these things, if done well, will make running your business so much easier and will make growth a lot more frictionless. So these are things you really want to get right pretty early in your business. And if you've already grown your business and they're not in place and things are a bit chaotic, bringing these in, this is the fastest way to get things under control when they're out of control. It'll be a little bit of a pain forcing a new system into the chaotic mess, but that's what we do as business owners when we need to improve the operations of our business. So the difference between process management and project management. Process management are addressing the things that are done routinely and need to be done exactly the same every time and need to be done quickly and efficiently, and they're just identical implementations of a series of steps. This could be onboarding new clients, onboarding new employees, implementing any standard procedure within the company. So this needs to be something that you make a checklist for, and you really think out the sequence, how things can be batched together, what's the easiest way to do it, what's redundant and not necessary. You really think out the sequence of steps and what is critical, and then with each of these, you basically make a checklist, and then you attach to each checklist item either an instruction sheet or better yet, a video where somebody knows how to do it right, walks the viewer through the steps to implement that stage, that item on the checklist. This does a couple things. One is it makes sure it's done exactly the same way every time. It makes sure nothing is skipped. It reduces mistakes by being just explicitly clear, and it makes it easier for new people in your organization, whether they're employees or contractors, to do it right and to learn quickly without you having to spend a ton of time training every new person. Again, each one's linked to instructions, but ultimately, even when they know it well, it becomes a thing they have to go through and have to physically check each item. They should be using some kind of software that enables checkboxes. Physically check each item for each implementation so that nobody rushes through it and misses a step, and you get the consistency and reduce the errors that come with this kind of well-defined process. And this is all about fast, efficient, but consistent and error-free. Project management is different because projects do not have the same level of consistency. They're not identical every time. Sometimes they're wildly different. It could be a total one-off project, perhaps exploring the potential of a new product line. That might be something you do very rarely, but it's a defined project. Other projects might be very similar to each other, perhaps implementing the same kind of project but for different clients, but there's still some variability between each project. In that case, in the last example, each client has unique circumstances that have to be accounted for in the implementation of each project for each client. They could be similar, they could be wildly different, but there's more variability across projects than there is across processes, which should be identical. Moreover, projects have a start time and a finish time. They have a finite lifespan, unlike processes, which are done over and over endlessly until you refine the process. Projects need to be a clearly defined thing that has a start and end point, and that's what sort of separates the two of them. Now, projects, while they can't be brought to the same level of efficiency and just ruthless consistency as a process, you should think through the steps of implementing the project. But the difficult challenge with projects is as your business grows and as you get more complexity, as you get more customers, as you get more opportunities, you're going to have more and more projects operating at the same time. And the challenge becomes watching what's happening where, making sure things are getting done, things continue to move through the different stages of the project evolution up to the point of completion. You need a way, one, for owners and executives to have a bird's eye view and see everything in the company, all the projects and what stages they're flowing through, and B, make sure that nothing is getting stuck, nothing is getting lost in the cracks or bogged down in some kind of bottleneck in the whole pipeline. So you need to implement software that's going to let you track different projects at different stages, so you can see what's piling up, what's moving quickly, what's about to finish, thereby opening up resources to apply to new projects, or what's just getting bogged down and not moving at all, and whether there's a pretty good spread across the system or whether it's all piling up in one place. So in the case of project management, you want to have software tools that can map this out. Now, implementing the software can be an art form in and of itself, but there are a few tools that are free that make it so much easier. And if you spend some time really thinking through, you can do a pretty good job of just implementing on your own, or you can, work with people who are experts at really mapping out a process and defining how to do it at an extraordinarily high level. But either way, if you're new to this, I would recommend starting out with Trello. Trello is kind of the king. Trello is what's called a Kanban, which basically just means you've got a list and then you've got columns with additional lists, which sounds super simple, but Trello takes it to a new level because what you'll do is you'll define each column will be a stage in the process flow. It'll be a pipeline from the early stages to the finished stage of the process of completing these projects. And then under each column, you'll have cards. Each card will be a different project. The title of the card is the title of the project. You can assign people on your team to take ownership of individual projects, thereby assigning them to that card. If you tap on the card, it flips over. On the back, you can put endless details and descriptions, and you can format it and make it look nice, so it's easy to interpret. You can have checklists. You can have full conversations among different team members, discussing what's going on, what the problems are, what's moving quickly, quick updates. You can attach files. You can integrate it with Google Drive or Dropbox. It's incredibly sophisticated, but at the same time, and the real power is it's incredibly simple. Since it's simple to implement, importantly, it's simple to get to understand it and quickly get on board with it as someone new to it. So most project management systems are a bit of a chore to get new people to understand it and to feel comfortable and to be using it regularly. Trello is the easiest project management system to get people to use because it's so obvious and intuitive. It's just cards. And as you move it from one stage to another along the pipeline, you just drag the card and it's real time. So if someone's watching it on another computer elsewhere, instantly they'll see the card moving around. They'll see additions to the back. They'll see the conversations pop up. It really lets you organize and, most importantly, get a bird's eye view of all the activities, all the projects underway in your company. And you can see if they're piling up under one stage, then there's some kind of bottleneck there. You really need to see what's holding them up consistently. If certain projects are just never moving, you'll see that those projects are just stalled out and that they need some focus or oversight. If things are moving smoothly, you'll see it. You'll see the movement and you'll see everything happening, each independent project on this whole map. It's the most visual of the tools. Now, the limitation of Trello is that at some point it won't scale, but it can go pretty far. It's an extremely powerful tool. At some point, you might need a little bit more functionality and more than a Kanban board. And then you'll want to look at something like Asana, which is also, in its free version, extremely powerful. And that's going to give you Kanban boards like Trello, though I would argue not as good as Trello, but similar, and a lot of other functionalities so you can have one project in different contexts, which in Trello, basically you have the project just in the context of that one pipeline. Though you can use the boards for a wide range of things, not just pipelines. It's an incredibly powerful tool. Anyway, that's the starting point if you're new to project management. On the process management side, if you're running a very simple operation, just get out a Word doc, or even a Trello board could have the stages under one column, or you could have different processes under different columns. Basically, you just need a checklist. But you need someone to actively go through it and actively check it off. It could be done on a piece of paper, though I would always recommend a cloud-based software system. The real tool that's going to take this to the next level, if you have any complexity in your business, if you have any amount of a team, whether it's employees or contractors, I'd highly recommend looking at Process Street. Process Street is kind of the gold standard. It literally lets you put together very powerful checklists, but it lets you automate actions. So you can get to the point where you check one thing off, it triggers a series of automations across other software platforms when you integrate it with integration tools like Zapier, or direct integrations that many software programs have with products like Process Street. So it lets you bring a lot more sophistication and automation to the system. But either way, you need to map it out, define your list, really think it through, and then put into place a system where people can go through the checklist and ideally have, for the more complex stages in the process, have a link to a video or a document that shows how to do it. That will make training new people so much easier and make your life so much better. And also reduce mistakes and make their lives easier, make the employees' or the contractor's lives easier. They don't like coming to you every minute. They want to do a good job and they're willing to put the effort in, but if they get stuck, they get stuck and they have no choice. Make it so that they can solve the problem on their own with some training built into the process checklist. So between Process Street and Trello or Asana, you're off to a great start. You're way ahead of most businesses doing just those two things. Now, in some industries, there are industry specialized project management tools. For example, in accounting, you have something like Carbon, or you have some specialty tools in certain industries. So it's worth taking a look to see if your industry has a specialty tool. But I wouldn't necessarily go to the specialty tool just because there is one. First of all, they tend to be a lot more expensive because they're dealing with a much smaller customer base. So to cover their expenses, they need to charge more. And they feel they are justified in charging more because they are the specialty tool. And I can't think of any business where Trello can't get you started and you can't run with that for a long time. Definitely weigh the pros and cons. Reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you about pros and cons of a generic solution versus a specialty solution. But either way, think about that. And then one final thought. These are sort of the first steps getting started. Now, it is an art form to put the right process together, to really think it through for optimal efficiency and just the peak level of performance you can get out of the company by having the perfectly crafted process system with the right level of automations. At the same time, on the project management side, it is an art form to put together how to shape the project management pipeline, how to define what the columns are, what the processes are for implementing the different projects. There is a lot that can be brought to it beyond just having the tool. So the tool is like the clay, and then you have to learn how to mold it to be the most optimal for your business. So that's something that takes time, but just dive in, start playing with it. I'm happy to help if that's something that you want outside advice on. There are other people who can bring insight to that. You can research it, Google videos. There's a lot of information on how to use these tools, but you need to use something, and these tools get you off to a really good start very inexpensively. So I'd highly recommend looking at them. I hope that's helpful. It really is. If you get these two things right, your process management and your project management, you're going to have an incredibly strong foundation for the operations of your business. Then when you implement other tools like a CRM to organize customer communication and data, or your financial accounting system, your bookkeeping system, where that's also highly integrated with the operations of the business, or something like your communication system, if you're using Slack or something similar to that. All of these tools can be integrated in many ways, automated with the process management and the project management systems. And that's when your system really starts humming. That's when your company removes the friction for growth and just makes coming to work a joy, because you're not bogged down dealing with things stuck in the system. The system solves problems on its own. People are empowered to solve their own problems, and new people are brought on much faster in a much more enjoyable way for them and for you. And running your business becomes a lot more fun. You can spend your time on higher level strategic implementations and ideas and creative concepting, and you can do the things you want to do. And because nobody goes into business to deal with just operational admin. We do go into business to deliver value to customers and to build and to come up with new ideas and to grow. So these are tools that help you do it extremely well. So highly recommended. Hope that's helpful. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos covering each of these elements in a lot more detail. So if that's something you want to hear about, definitely subscribe to the channel, and we'll take it from there.